You are being told two different stories about the Rolex market right now. Story 1. The Rolex market is crashing, with prices sliding fast from their ridiculous peaks. Story 2. Brand new, unworn watches are vanishing, becoming incredibly difficult to source. How can prices fall if the product is disappearing? The answer is that both are true, and the hidden truth reveals just how calculated and just how cynical Rolex has become. By the end of this, you will understand the real forces reshaping the watch world, and it's not what you think. If you appreciate facts over hype, support the channel, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. The 2025 market isn't one simple event. It is a complex collision of three distinct forces: a broad global price correction, a catastrophic supply shock in the US grey market, and a deliberate strategic retaking of control by Rolex itself. First, let's talk about the crash. Let's be perfectly clear, this was not a collapse. It was a correction. A necessary and predictable reality check after the unprecedented speculative mania of 2020 to 2022. During that period, fueled by pandemic stimulus checks, rock-bottom interest rates, and a new class of flippers treating watches like crypto, average secondary Rolex prices exploded by an unsustainable 93%. When the party stopped, the economy tightened and interest rates rose. That bubble burst. The market entered a sharp 31% correction from its peak, with average prices settling around $13,400 by June 2025. The same dealers and flippers who had hoarded timepieces began offloading their stock, flooding the grey market and causing supply to finally outpace demand. The icons of the bubble were hit the hardest. The Submariner Date dropped 27% from its peak. The GMT-Master II Pepsi fell a staggering 34.3%. And the Steel Daytona, the king of the bubble, dropped approximately 17.8%. But here's the first key takeaway. That freefall is over. By the third quarter of 2025, evidence shows this correction has concluded and the market has stabilized. After 13 straight quarters of decline, the Watch Chart's market index posted its first quarterly gain in 3 years. The market is no longer in freefall, it is bumping along the bottom. It has found its new, more rational baseline. This is where the paradox deepens. Just as the global price correction stabilized, a new crisis emerged: a severe shortage of unworn watches, primarily hitting the US grey market. This vanishing is not being driven by a new surge in consumer demand. It is being driven by two external shocks that have fundamentally broken the grey market supply chain. The first shock, the 39% tariff crisis. The single most significant hidden truth behind the vanishing inventory is a geopolitical event. In 2025, the US government imposed a staggering 39% tariff on Swiss imports, including luxury watches. The impact was immediate and devastating. In September 2025, official Swiss watch exports to the US, the world's #1 luxury watch market, plummeted by 56%. This tariff effectively destroyed the US grey market business model. That market relies heavily on international imports, sourcing at least half of its inventory from global hubs like Dubai, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. The profit margin for a grey market dealer on a typical Rolex is razor thin, often between just 5 and 15%. It is economically impossible to pay a 39% tax on a watch when you only plan to make a 10% margin. As one dealer stated, the import business is dead in the water. The unworn watches are vanishing from the US grey market not because of demand, but because of a tariff-driven supply chain collapse. The second shock, the Great Decoupling. The second shock explains why the price correction stuck. The 2020 mania was strongly tied to the last crypto bull run. It was an era of the flex economy, where new retail crypto wealth was rapid, exuberant, and visible. Status was worn on the wrist, and crypto gains were directly converted into Rolexes. In mid-2025, Bitcoin surged to a new all-time high, yet the luxury watch index remained flat. This phenomenon is being called the Great Decoupling. The 2025 crypto rally is fundamentally different. It is driven by institutional capital, pension funds, spot ETFs, and family offices. This mature capital is focused on portfolio optimization, not discretionary purchases like timepieces. The speculative Rolex and Lambo party is over. This decoupling permanently removes the single biggest speculative demand driver from the market, ensuring the flippers who created the bubble are not coming back. With speculative demand from flippers and crypto now evaporated, the situation at Rolex Authorized Dealers (ADS) has transformed. This normalization of demand has led to a dramatic shortening of AD waitlists for genuine buyers. For a Submariner, the median wait time has been halved from 105 days down to 60 days. For a GMT-Master II, the wait has also halved from 180 days down to 90 days. For an Explorer, wait times fell by nearly 66%. As a direct result of this cooling demand, the infamous exhibition-only signs are also vanishing. Those signs were a retail theatre and crowd control tactic for a period of speculative mania. With that crowd gone, the inventory situation is so manageable that the tactic is no longer necessary. Today, buyers report being able to walk in and find or place orders with short waits for models that were previously unattainable. The vanishing is an illusion. Watches are more accessible at ADS than in years, while they are simultaneously less accessible on the US grey market. But do not make the mistake of thinking Rolex has been a passive victim of these market forces. Instead, the brand's leadership has used the cover of the global correction to launch a cynical and aggressive campaign to achieve two goals: eradicate the grey market that was damaging its brand equity, retake absolute control of its product, pricing, and the multi-billion-dollar secondary market. Weapon 1. The certified pre-owned war. Rolex's primary weapon is its certified pre-owned program. This program is not designed to compete with the grey market on price. It is designed to destroy it through price manipulation. The core CPO strategy is to price its officially authenticated used watches at a massive premium, typically 25 to 35% higher than identical and often newer watches on the non-certified grey market. This creates an economically absurd yet brilliant market hierarchy. Case Study 1. A used CPO Rolex Submariner in yellow gold is priced at over $55,400. On the secondary market, a brand new, unworn model of the same watch costs only $45,600. Rolex is charging an obscene 22% premium for a used watch over a new one. Case Study 2. One dealer offered a CPO Daytona for $36,950 without its original box. A buyer on the grey market was able to purchase the newer 2025 reference, Unworn, for only $27,000. The CPO watch was nearly $10,000 more expensive for an inferior product. This cynical pricing is a controlled reset. It is designed to box in the grey market and give Rolex full control over how pre-owned pricing evolves. It forces a dilemma: buy from a grey dealer for cheaper but with risk, or pay an extreme premium to Rolex for peace of mind. This move allows Rolex to finally capture the billions in revenue it was losing to flippers. Weapon 2. Strategic production cuts. The second vanishing act is entirely manufactured by Rolex. As the market corrected, Rolex did the opposite of a normal company. It reduced production. The 2024 Morgan Stanley report revealed that Rolex cut production to 1.18 million watches, down from 1.24 million in 2023. Despite making 60,000 fewer watches, Rolex's revenue grew from 10.1 billion to 10.58 billion Swiss francs. How? By strategically increasing the average price per watch. This premiumization strategy is clear. New models. The brand's focus is on high-margin precious metal pieces like the new Land Dweller line and a white gold GMT-Master II. Discontinuations. Rolex has removed key high-demand, lower-margin steel flipper watches, most notably the popular Oyster Perpetual Celebration dial. Rolex is intentionally manufacturing scarcity to protect its pricing power. The 2022 to 2025 correction was not just a price drop, it was a purge of a specific demographic. The market is healing because the actors driven by speculation, the flippers who hoarded pieces, have been forced out by high interest rates. The people who remain and who are now defining the market are true collectors and smart investors and genuine enthusiasts. The market has split in two. While the mass luxury secondary market for common steel sports models corrected, the ultra-luxury auction market for truly rare timepieces is booming. In the first half of 2025, Christie's luxury cluster auction sales surged by 29% year over year. At the Phillips Decade 1 auction in November 2025, a rare Paul Newman Daytona known as the Golden Pagoda sold for approximately $1.2 million. The speculative flipper money has evaporated from the commoditized steel market. The real high-net-worth collector money has fled this hype and is consolidating in heritage, provably rare, vintage, and unique timepieces. So here is the new normal for 2026, and the final truth explained. 1. The market crashes was a real, necessary, and healthy correction of a speculative bubble, and it is already over. The idea of buying a steel Rolex as a short-term, high-yield investment is dead. One analysis argues that holding steel Rolexes into 2026 is a financial trap, noting their catastrophic underperformance against assets like the S&P 500 and gold since the 2022 peak. This is informational, not financial advice, but the data is clear. 2. The Unworn watch's Vanish is a simultaneous but separate phenomenon. It is not a story of high demand. It is a story of a catastrophic supply shock. This shock has two hidden drivers: an external 39% US import tariff that has destroyed the grey market import business, and an internal strategy from Rolex itself to cut production and premiumize its portfolio. The hidden truth is that Rolex is using the cover of a global economic correction to wage a two-front war. It is deploying its CPO program to reclaim control of the secondary market, while strategically cutting production to reinforce the very scarcity that defines its brand. The era of the flipper is over. The era of Rolex's absolute control has begun. Now I want to hear from you. Knowing that Rolex is actively manipulating the pre-owned market by pricing its CPO watches higher than new ones, does this make you more or less likely to buy from them in the future?